We're Synergy Solar, and we're a solar panel company that uses recycled material to create our solar panels. I'm Emmali.
I'm Mia.
And I'm Ilya. Welcome to Synergy Solar.
So Synergy Solar believes in the importance of maintaining and sustaining our planet's environment through the use of solar energy by creating solar panels through recycled material. This benefits both our customers and the planet, and we promise to provide the best service and most dependable products and an assurance that the environment is being made better because each and every one of our customers. We are established in the year 2022, and we provide our customers with solar panels to use for their homes or businesses that improve efficiency and save money. We are currently a startup with the hope of providing solar energy to a quarter of Minnesota by the year of 2050. We are obtaining our license to become a corporation, registering our business name, and applying for our federal tax identification number. We are also currently registering for the Minnesota State Tax Identification Number and obtaining the specific licenses and permits to install solar panels. We are also partnering with Clean Lights Recycling, which is a recycling company that offers customers a way to recycle their old solar panels, as well as old solar tracking systems, solar PV systems, and solar energy storage systems that are no longer in use. They have a location in Lakeville, Minnesota, so partnering with Clean Lights is really convenient for us because we're located in Brooklyn Park.
So to kind of get into the more analytical side of things of the solar industry and something that we're going to be entering into, solar industry has had a 30% annual rise just in the past decade alone. So that means every 10 years we expect around 25 to 35% increase as costs get lower and more technologies get released. As you can see from the graph on the right side, the biggest growth of these is the installation and development in the US currently, because most of the solar panels are being produced overseas. There's a lot of installation and development companies coming here to invest a lot of their money into the US markets. Currently in the industry, there's over 230,000 workers and 10,000 solar companies in the US alone. According to SIA. Other small things are the actual operations and maintenance. Things like upkeep, like washing solar panels, has had a slower increase. Sales and distribution also has had a smaller thing because a lot of the sales are not happening to the customers directly, but more rather to a B&B section. And manufacturing has had a steady pace. So the most increase that we can see is the actual installation and development that is happening in the US. Next slide. So as you can see here in the previous slide, I talked about how there was such a massive increase. So this is more of regarding the actual installation. So the capacity to hold things like land and permits and being able to have the carrying capacity for the solar has been growing quite a lot. So you can see the installed solar capacity, MWDC, just refers to the actual solar sales, has been increasing within the US as things have gotten cheaper and a lot more people, not just big businesses and corporations affording can now buy solar panels for themselves and their company. And the biggest one has been the specific utility. Commercial has had a small increase, but the biggest one is the specific utility, as a lot of people are using the solar panels, or even big corporations who are setting up solar farms to be able to pay for that service. It has currently had a $33 billion in private investments, not just from overseas, but in billionaires and millionaires that are currently residing in the US. Next slide, please. The industry has also seen a lot of policies that have been helping the solar industry grow. So the main one is the investment tax credit, or known as the federal solar tax credit. Basically, to simplify this as much as possible, it's just a 26% deduction that you can take on your taxes for the cost of the installing of the energy system into your household. The second one is a government program. The GBP provides basically resources and support and tools to homeowners or to small businesses to be able to start in the solar industry and being able to install solar panels and getting connected to the right people. It works anywhere from companies to colleges, universities, organizations, and a local and a state and federal level of government. Next slide.
All right, so now I'm going to be talking about a little bit about the market analysis. As it was stated earlier, the industry is absolutely booming. The global solar power market is expected to grow from 184.03 billion in 2021 to 293.18 billion by 2028. When it comes to our customers, Sunergy has a very specific target market. The global market for solar panel energy is divided mainly into three categories, those being residential, non-residential, and commercial customers. Once broken down further, we are targeting more of a household solar installation target. Those would be climate change activists, thrifty investors, and energy independence seekers. So climate change activists are people who are going to go to great lengths to ensure that the environment is preserved. They are most likely to vote for the Green Party, own an electric car, and they really do care about the environment. They're more likely to be younger, educated, and pretty knowledgeable about the whole science behind greenhouse gas emission. They fear that if they do not speak up and do something, that nothing will change, and then the environment will go to complete waste. The next would be thrifty investors. So these people are very kind of stingy with their money. They're very calculated and very cautious with what they have. Their main goal is to budget well and to live as simply as possible. They're likely to have a very pretty large family and live in a large home. And they're always keeping their eyes peeled for any chance that they can save or get money. And they're very aware of how much they're paying for electricity, water, gas, and they're really just trying to cut back as much as they can on spending. And then the final target market would be, or consumer would be, energy independence seekers. So these are customers that are overjoyed at the possibility of not needing to rely on a third party for their electricity. They might already have, or they might have already been considering getting an electric vehicle, and they might be interested in adding like batteries to their solar panels, and they could be in an area where outages occur frequently, and so they're looking for like a route or a way to get around that. And some recent trends in the solar industry that really would promote our business and help out is the fact that the cost of installing solar panels has been decreasing a lot. Homeowners are using solar power to meet the bulk of their electrical needs, so more people are moving towards solar power. And finally, manufacturers of solar equipment and financing businesses are becoming increasingly fragmented. The energy solar marketplace had 36, or the company Energy Stage had 36 panel brands and 20 inverter brands bid out in the second half of 2014. And in the first half of 2015, those numbers had risen by 20%. Installers aren't tied to any one type of panel or inverter. So this means that like people or installers aren't very, like they'll have variety in the inverter brands that they use. They're not just sticking to a certain one. So all of these trends really would help promote our business and make sure that we are successful in our startup and in the continuation of our business. Next slide.
So the three main panels that are available in the market that we want to start producing in a more ethical manner is the polycrystalline solar panel, the thin film solar panel, and the monocrystalline silicon solar panel. They vary a lot. So the main thing between them is the availability. So the thin film solar panels are very thin material that is often used for like roofs and walls or small farmhouses in places where it is difficult to put such bulky material, which is why the cost is a little bit higher because the energy production is not as well. The second one is monocrystalline silica panels. This basically has to relate on how the sun bounces around inside. So the main difference between the thing is polycrystalline is a little bit more advanced method where it costs a lot less, and it costs around 90 cents to $1 per watt. Next slide. So over the past like 2 to 3 years, as you can see in the graph below, we've seen a very jump between the actual installed solar price. This basically has to do a lot with the COVID that has been happening. There has not been a lot of solar imports due to the fact that a lot of shipping cities and coastal cities have been shut down, and many people cannot get their products in. So as old solar panels are dying off, people are having to spend money to take them off. And just recently, once a lot of the COVID restrictions have been lifting, the industry has went back up to around 18% for utility install price segment. The increase, so basically, as you can see, 18% increase in the past 4 quarters, and then the lowest, the decrease, which I'll be covering a little bit more further in the slides. We've seen a 60% decrease in costs to the specific manufacturer because of some of the developments being made. Next slide, if you could. So the actual production that we are going to be focusing on is the mono and poly. We of course are going to be producing for the people who need the solar films, but this is basically kind of how it works. So we want to save on 3 major factors. One is glass. So as old solar panels are being taken down, we are able to repurpose and the glass being used, so it's not ending up in landfills. And a lot of like the electronics section, we're going to be partnering, like Emmali stated earlier, that we're going to be giving a lot of the resources to them that we cannot use to repurpose the solar panels, so that we can build a more sustainable company. Because of its 20-year lifespan, we're able to keep clients once or twice to be able to replace them. And also a second thing is with the glass production, we want to start using glass manufacturers that are use more more friendly forms of production, as glass is very harmful to the environment in the production itself, with a lot of fossil fuels being burned. So we want to focus on manufacturing companies that encapsulate that for us. So our main portions, to kind of summarize this, is being able to reuse what we have. Next slide.
Okay, so going into our marketing plan, we're going to focus on marketing through like paid, earned, and owned media. We have our website on the screen here, sonergysolar.com. And a big thing that we market is that we're using recycled materials in our solar panels, unlike most other solar panel companies. And in today's world, recycled materials, they're one of the most important things to use, and it's all about saving the environment for everyone. So using recycled materials within our solar panels is an idea that we're heavily focused on. So the total cost for like solar panel installation ranges anywhere from $10,000 to $14,000 on average. And then all solar panel removal is included in the cost of installation. So we install and remove all of our solar panels at the customer's convenience, and we do source outside companies if we're traveling over 4 hours to install our solar panels. And then when it comes to selling our product, again, like I talked about, we're using paid, earned, and owned media. So we'll create ads, like radio or television ads, to promote our product within Minnesota. And then also through social media, like our own social media, and then again, like our own website, as I talked about. And then word of mouth will be a huge thing for us. For all of our customers, we're going to focus on like them. And so then they'll get the word out and spread the word about our company. And then when it comes to our sales, we'll focus on the 7-step sales process. So what that means is first we must prospect, meaning we target the customers that have a need for our product, including homes and businesses. Next, we'll prepare to meet and inform our clients about our product after doing further research, which helps us provide them with the information about how our product would be beneficial for them. Third, we get in contact with our customers. We do this through various like fairs or any shows. And then we also reach out personally and contact potential clients over the phone or via email. And next, we will present our product to the customer and explain how it would be beneficial to them. After that, we handle any objections that the client may have by providing them with the necessary information to address those concerns. After that, we close with the client by receiving their decision. And then we always follow up with the clients and all customers, not to see how things are going with their solar system, their solar energy system, but also for any potential referrals or any future business that we might have with that client.
So as you can see in the graph, there has been a lot of developments being made, such as processing advancements, efficiency gains up to 22%, which cause the average per watt from being like 67 cents to 18 cents in those countries that I'll be talking on further. So currently there's a $1 trillion annually that the US spends on fossil fuels. Renewable energy only accounts for 2.3% of the total energy used in the US, and 10% of that 2.3% is only solar power alone. If you go to the next slide. As we can see here, the main component manufacturing, which has led to a lot of the price decreases, has been a lot of those Asian countries. So Philippines lead in the actual wafer production. That is a lot of the actual electronics. Malaysia leads in the module production. This is more of like the glass and actual solar cells. And then Taiwan leads in the actual cell production, where the sun bounces around to produce the energy. Next slide.
Okay, so going into the cost drivers then. So this model on the screen explains our core cost drivers and how they lead to our total capital costs. So overall, our core cost drivers, as shown here, are like our system designs, our system location, and then our company structure. Within the system design, those cost model categories are the system hardware, and then also our direct and indirect labor. From that leads to our inputs within our system hardware, which lead to the outputs of total equipment costs. And then for our cost model category of the labor, that's from the system location. And then again, like I said, the system design. So within the labor, it leads to the input of direct and indirect labor, and then to the total direct and indirect labor costs. After that, you move down to the PII costs, so any permit, inspection, and interconnection costs. And those lead to your PII cost inputs, which lead to your total PII cost outputs. And then finally at the bottom, any overhead or sales and marketing costs, which lead to your total overhead costs by category for inputs, and then the output of the total overhead costs. So then all those outputs put together lead to our total capital cost.
All right, so some startup costs for our solar panel installation company. Since our clients will be purchasing the solar panels, we will be making money on the upkeep and maintenance of said solar panels. So according to our calculations and based off the graph, which we have input in our business plan, minimum cost for our installation business, we estimate it to be about $62, with the maximum being $35,923. However, the average cost is going to be $19,267. All that information is available for you in our business plan, as well as our cost structure. There's a couple graphs that explain that, but basically, oh, you can go to the next slide. But basically, the production rates went from 18 cents per watt to an average of 2.7 per watt in Minnesota. So we can see that cost structure develop. And this means that we can sell more per watt based on industry standards. And that leads to an increase in revenue because we're selling at the industry average versus, or rather than the actual price, which is 18 cents per watt. Next slide.
Okay, so going into our operations plan, again, our big focus is using recycled materials within our solar panels. So that's any from old or unusable solar panels, we'll also include those, as well as material from recycling plants. And our facilities, like I said earlier, it's located in Brooklyn Park. So all of our solar panels we produced and stored there. And within that facility, we have storage locations for our solar panels, as well as other solar equipment that we're making. We also have like any conveyor belts and cranes, everything used in the movement and creation of our materials. And then we have a lot of like robotic systems going on within our facility, any computer equipment, those all come into play with helping build and put together our solar panels. But then also our employees are the ones that are in charge of programming those. So ultimately our employees are a valuable asset to us. And then when it comes to the installation aspect, our employees will be the ones doing all the installation. So they'll be the ones interacting with the customers directly when they're either at their house or their business installing those. And then within that, the parts of a solar panel system include the solar cells, the charge controller, battery inverter, and grid tied systems. So the solar cells are what are used to comprise a solar panel. These cells are what they create the electrical energy when they're exposed to light. And then a charge controller, it regulates the power that's coming from the solar panels using the correct voltage and current to the battery. The battery then, it stores the power from the solar power system based on the amp hour rating. And then the amp hours signals the number of amps of current that a battery could discharge in an hour before needing a charge. And then an inverter converts the power from the solar panel battery from one direction, which is known as DC, to an alternating current power, which is known as AC. And that's what's suitable for the business or the house that has these solar panels. And then the grid tied system is connecting the solar panels to any local power grid. This is not always necessary, but it can be beneficial. And then going into our management team and company structure, as shown here on the screen, you can see it goes from our board of directors down to our CEO, me, and then down to our COO and our VP of sales, as well as our VP of production. And then how our VP of production is in charge of our production team, our VP of sales is in charge of our sales team, and then our COO is in charge of our operations team.
And then our overall schedule, 6 to 12 months prior to the launch, we'll be doing things like marketing research in the industry, marketing techniques, bank funding, researching and forming the legalities of the business. Tasks 4 to 6 months prior are going to be things such as sourcing and purchasing of merchandise, creating and planning advertising campaigns, and creation and launch of a website. The tasks we would like to complete 2 to 4 months prior to launch are things such as purchasing ad spots, manufacturing, recruiting and training staff, and the execution of our marketing strategy. And then finally, on launch day, we will really just be promoting ourselves, showing off our e-commerce websites, and hosting a grand opening celebration.
Okay, so that leads us then into our financial projections. Here on the screen, we have our sources of funds and uses statement, and then also our pro forma financial statement. And then with that, our ratio analysis was calculated. So our return on assets comes out to be 21.6%. So that means our company is able to make more of a profit with less of an investment, which is super ideal for any company. And then our return on sales comes out to be 8.5%, which is positive for our company to have, also allowing us to be very profitable. All right, and that is Sunergy Solar. Thank you.